睡了黄榜中状元。中状元着红袍，帽持宫花套，好新鲜。
For you, in your work, text is very important, and your literature background is very important also. I think you started with as a performer, and there are also videos about reading texts. Why did you choose to make films about that instead of performance?
Oh, I think probably that's the starting point of me, like switching from making performance sheerly to make videos and films, and because at the very beginning I started art as a painter, and then I do some performances, and I try to make the painting. I try to transform the painting to another layer of narrative, like the performance. And then I was thinking about what's the essence of a performance. The performance, of course, is about the human body, and in a lot of situations about the artist's body. It's about how you explore the boundary of your body. But later on, I just realized that probably the action itself, that is the essence of the performance. That is how you manipulate, how you deal with some material. Body is one of the material for sure, but you have a lot of different materials. For instance, you can have not only yourself's body, you can have other people's body, right? And you can have something not physical. You can have something very soft. You can have people's memory and people's lived experiences as a material. You can have the history archive as a material. You can have you can make all of those things as the materials of your performance. The key of the material, the performance is how you manipulate them. So for my early pieces, for instance, like the role play, like the real and nature, the pieces I made when I was in New York, is all of them. It looks like a film because there's a story, a narrative, and drama in there, and people they're sharing stories. But actually, to me, the essence of those pieces, that is performance. That is about the performative. So even now, my recent pieces like Smoke and Fire, like the Northeast part, China, the Northeast project I've been working on with, I think the performative elements is quite important. It's still quite important in there.
你啥时候回来？
你怎么突然想起回新屯了呢？想回家去看看烟花。
20岁那年，直奉大战，父亲战败投降被俘。
came back from 5 years in the States in 2017. What has changed in your work since?
I think the subject matter has changed totally, actually. Because when I was in New York, I cannot work with something I don't have a direct connection with. So I have to work with some subject matter as like a middle class, something international subject matter. But I came back to China. I came back to Beijing, my hometown, and I feel like it's everything just came back to me. All the memories, all the lived experience of mine, everything came back, and I feel very genetic. Because so it's like the sources is my root.
Do things in China change faster than in New York?
I think everybody should say that, and everybody could agree with that. It's everything changes very fast. So basically, it's but the speed is different. Like if it's in New York, if it's in Beijing, it's fast. And if it's in small town like my hometown right now, it's a little bit slower, but still it's quite fast. It's you can see a lot of different changes if you haven't been here for like 2 or 3 years. A lot of new buildings, a lot of new highways. Yeah, it's quite fast. Yeah, but the fast is on the physical part, Yeah.
So you said that it was like a homecoming when you came back from the States to China, and do you explore only the Chinese presence or also the nearer past? Let's say because you have one film with relation to events in the Cultural Revolution. So it's a sort of near past which is also present in your films.
Yeah, I think my recent focus is basically about the recent 100 years. It's from probably from the 1919 to now. So it's basically the modern history of China. So in 1919, we had the May 4th movement. It's the new democracy movement in China. So it's basically everything starts from there. And everything starts from there in my projects, in my works. And and there's also some very important points during these 100 years, like the Second World War, like the Civil War, like the Cultural Revolution, and like the times of now. So there's points. Yeah, I try to focus on those points and try to see the relationship between them and link them up.
Do you, in your last works, I think you concentrate pretty much on one region of China, the Northeast. Why? Yes. Because it's a part of China you know the best, or why do you concentrate? Or it's a part of a triptych or something like that, a series?
You're correct. That's the part of China I know the best because that's hometown, and that's where I'm right now. Yeah, it's my hometown is in Changchun. It's the center of northeast part of China, and it has a lot of fascinating history, especially the modern history of it. And I just started to work with the northeast part of China probably 3 years ago, when I just came back to China. And and there's a lot of different subject matter. I think that's quite fascinating. For instance, the shamanism right here, and also the piece I'm working on with right now is about the 1948. It's the civil war between the CCP and the KMT in my city. So, a lot of hidden history also.
We show in Kino der Kunst this year a film which is maybe quite exceptional because it's not about so much about the body. It's all about the word, and it's a very intellectual sort of chess game between two people. Can you explain a little bit this film, the interrogation?
Oh, the interrogation, yeah. So this piece, actually, that was the first piece I made when I just came back to China 3 years ago. It's about probably in November I started to work on with this piece, 2017. Yeah, because when I get back to China, I came back to my hometown here in Changchun, and I had a friend. That friend is my best friend in my hometown. We grew up together, and and he told me a lot of stories about his job, because I knew his job is, we call it the commissioner of discipline inspection. He interrogate people. Mm-hmm. That's a quite fascinating job. It's part of the urban legendary in Chinese life. So I found out that his experience is quite fascinating, and it's just like the two faces of a moon or two sides of a coin. On the one side is our daily life. Everybody has a job interview, like interview we have right now. I try to put these two sides of the coin together. So one side is the daily structure of communication, like the young man in my film, he's trying to have a job interview, right? And the other side, when the night comes, the job interview changed into interrogation. So that's the reason why I try to put them together, these two sides of the coin together. And
And also, as I said before, it's quite a political piece, because you have the one who is interrogating you, and you have to not only look for the job, but also to defend yourself and to hide what should be hidden and what you don't want to reveal.
Exactly.
What is interesting in the interrogation, you know your friend and who told you, so his personality, but in fact, if you get interrogated, you don't know anything about the other person, and he knows a lot of things about you. So it's like hiding. And I had the impression that in your film, there's also a point where it switches a little bit, where the power switches.
Yeah, actually the role of these two protagonists in the film, the young man and the old man, they switches their parts. Yeah, so that's the reason why I decided to use the stills to make this film instead of a moving image, because one is stills. It's everything happen subtly. So in the daytime in the film, the daytime is having a job interview, and there's a voiceover, right? And the subject of the voiceover is the young man who is having a job interview, and we can see in the film the young man is having the job interview with the old man. But when the night comes, when everything gets darker, their parts, their roles switched. The voiceover is still the voiceover of my friend's story. He passed the job interview, he got a job, and he became to be someone who could interrogate other people.
当时还是挺紧张的，肾上腺素涌上来，会让人觉得周围一切都变慢了。那领导看我很紧张，就开始和我聊家常，问我谈不谈女朋友，有什么兴趣爱好，问我父母的工作情况，我都一五一十的回答。
All of my works is a connection between my personal, my individual lived experience and also my reading experience and the study I have and the resource I had and the research I did. And so, when I get back to my hometown after several years abroad, I think I did have a very different point of view because you started to realize that you used to be an insider and now you're the outsider, and you try to get back to it. You try to be inside of it, and you try to use some concept from the outside to realize or to understand what's happening inside of a very small or distant region. And but later on, I found out that probably that's not the best way, or that's not a solution or act for it, because you can see when you face some Chinese problems, some reality here in China, a lot of methodology you cannot just have a good solution here, and so you have to try to develop another point of view. You have to try to develop another methodology, and that's the thing I just found out during this recent 3 years, and that reflects to the style of my films. And I try not to give any answers. I try not to give a clear or direct point to the film, because one point of the reality here is the chaotic, and everything has their contradictory, and everything try to work with each other. And I think my role here is just like that, as a function of a shaman. I myself, as an artist, or as a filmmaker, I am a medium, and I am a medium try to connect the different time and space in China.
开始他只是试图打破沉默，但后来这无尽的倾诉慢慢变成护持生活的一部分。开始他只是想调剂寂寞，但后来这无尽的凝神谛听成了演员唯一的依赖。他们彼此捕获到一种前所未有的安全感，以及连自己都不熟悉的自己。